In the middle of the Arizona desert, hidden under miles of rock and steel, was a place few people knew about. It was called Deep Watch Station 9. It looked like just another old radar site from the outside, but deep below, it was filled with computers, satellites, and people watching the skies. Rachel Morgan worked there as a signal technician. She had brown hair tied back in a simple ponytail and always wore an old hoodie over her uniform. Rachel's job was to listen. She watched for signals from space, strange patterns, or anything. That didn't belong. Most days were boring, static, satellite echoes, old Russian junk signals bouncing off the moon. But tonight was different. At 2:17 a.m., a small green light on her console blinked, then another. Rachel leaned forward, frowning. She adjusted her headphones and turned a knob slowly. There it was again, a rhythmic pulse, soft, repeating, not human. She ran the signal through the AI filter. The program hummed and blinked, then spat out a result. Unknown source, unknown language, unknown pattern. Rachel stared at the screen. "What the hell?" she whispered. She tapped a few keys and called her supervisor. 30 seconds later, Tom Kelly arrived, still half asleep, holding a cup of cold coffee. Rachel replayed the signal for him. He listened, blinked, and looked at the data. "That's not one of ours," he said. "No," Rachel replied, "and it's not. From Earth, either. The angle and delay mean it's at least 2 light-years away." They both stared at the screen. The signal continued, steady, repeating, like a cry an hour later. The signal was in the hands of people far above their pay grade. The Defense Command in D.C., the United Nations Deep Space Committee, and a few people with no name badges at all. Rachel was told to stop listening. Her logs were locked, her headphones taken, but she had already copied the signal to her tablet. 2 days later, the Terran Defense Command made a decision. They would respond, but not with a message. They would send a ship. The warship Arclight was already in orbit above Earth. Sleek, sharp, dark as obsidian. It carried some of the most advanced tech humans had ever made. Plasma tethers that could pull asteroids, a stealth drive that made it nearly invisible, and a crew trained for deep space encounters. The public was told nothing. A cover story about a satellite upgrade went out to the press. Only a few world leaders knew the truth. The signal was alien, and someone, or something, might be out there. Commander Nathan Cole sat in his chair on the Arclight's bridge, reading the latest mission file. He was tall, serious, and had served in space longer than some of his crew had been alive. His eyes moved across the data slowly. "We're chasing a ghost," said Tara Green, the ship's weapons officer. She leaned on a console nearby, arms crossed. "Maybe," Cole said. "Or maybe someone's calling for help." Tara shrugged. "If they are, we might. Not like what we find in the ship's lower deck." Engineer Mason Rivera worked with 2 others to prep the ship's power systems. He checked the fusion core, ran diagnostics on the shielding, and made sure everything was perfect. Mason always liked space quiet. But today, something felt different. Heavy. Meanwhile, up in the science bay, Elise Hart sat with her tablet. Looking at the alien signal, she was a xenolinguist, trained to study unknown languages. She had seen the signal an hour ago. It made her skin crawl. The pattern wasn't just noise. It had structure, repetition, emotion, not random. She ran another analysis. Her screen flashed again. "This wasn't meant for us," she whispered. Back on Earth, Rachel sat alone on a park bench outside the station. Her clearance had been suspended. She couldn't talk to anyone about what happened, but she didn't regret anything. She looked up at the sky. She knew something had changed. She could feel it. The stars didn't feel still anymore, far above her. The Arclight moved silently across the stars, its engines burning softly against the cold black. The human race was no longer waiting. It was going to meet the signal face to face. The Arclight didn't move like other ships. It didn't roar or shake when it launched. It whispered through the dark, its black surface absorbing light like a shadow made of steel. From the outside, it looked calm, silent, but inside, the crew was coming alive. Commander Nathan Cole stood on the observation deck just behind the bridge. He was watching Earth grow smaller on the view screen. He had seen it dozens of times, but it never stopped making him feel a little heavier, like something was pulling him back. He turned as the doors slid open. Elise Hart stepped in. Holding a data slate. "Language scans are stable," she said, brushing a curl of dark hair behind her ear. Nothing new since we left orbit. Good, Cole replied, nodding. Elise was young for her position, but brilliant. She had cracked dialects in weeks that others struggled with for years. Cole trusted her. That mattered on a mission like this. The bridge was quiet, not tense, just focused. Tara Green leaned back in the weapons chair, her boots resting on the edge of the console until the helmsman shot her a look. She grinned and dropped them. You think we'll see something weird? She asked. We're on a secret ship flying toward an alien signal nobody understands, the helmsman replied. We already passed. Weird Green laughed and rolled her shoulders. She was built like a sprinter, fast and sharp. Her instincts were almost always right, and she had a reputation for staying calm under pressure. People said she once launched countermeasures. While drinking a protein shake, Mason Rivera was below deck in engineering bay too, humming to himself as he tightened a row of magnetic clamps. His toolkit floated nearby, every wrench locked in place by custom rigging he'd made himself. Mason had served on 3 ships before this, but he loved the Arclight. It was fast, clean, and quiet. He called it the ship that breathed. He paused his work when a soft chime sounded. A private message blinked on his wrist display. Check power core shielding, it read. No signature, Mason frowned. That wasn't protocol, but he grabbed his scanner and moved toward the reactor chamber without a word. Back on the bridge, Cole called. For a status update. Everyone answered quickly. Shields, stable. Engines humming. Life support green. Elise was the last to report, still working on the full translation, she said. But I'm starting to think the signal wasn't a request for help. It might have been. A warning, explain, Cole said. There are fragments that repeat, like alert codes, Elise explained. Almost like someone shouting the same word again and again, but in different tones. Fear, urgency. One part even sounds like a countdown. Tara raised an eyebrow. A countdown to what? Elise didn't answer right away. In the ship's small medbay, Dr. Nina Brooks ran her own quiet scans, not of the signal, but of the crew. She liked to monitor stress levels on long flights. She knew space changed people. Time felt different. Sleep was lighter. Some dreamed of falling even when they floated. Brooks had served with Cole once before. He wasn't just a soldier. He was something older, like an anchor in deep water. She had no doubt that if something went wrong, he would be the last one standing. 2 days into the journey, the crew began to feel the distance. Earth was now a blue dot on the nav screens. The stars ahead grew sharper. Unblinking, the ship drifted into silence. No one spoke unless needed. The hum of the fusion drive became a kind of heartbeat. At 0300 hours, the first anomaly appeared. A shadow on the long-range sensors, faint, just beyond the edge of charted space. It wasn't moving, wasn't reflecting light like a natural object. Tara locked the cameras on it. Looks like a ship, she said. Cole leaned forward, or a grave. They set a course toward the shadow. As the Arclight moved closer, the crew tightened. Their routines, weapons were powered, shields charged. Elise triple-checked her language files. Mason replaced every battery in the emergency systems. They weren't scared, but they were alert. Ready? In space. There are no second chances, and the Arclight was heading straight into the unknown. The system had no name. It was a dim corner of space, quiet and forgotten. The red dwarf star at the center gave off a tired glow, barely strong enough to warm the cracked rocks orbiting it. There were no planets worth landing on, no moons with water, no signals of life, but the Arclight slowed to a halt here. Commander Cole stood at the front of the bridge, watching the data scroll past. Something was there. Not a ship, not a station, as humans understood them, but something built, shaped, dead. There it is, Tara Green said, pointing to a faded shape on the screen. They had found the source of the signal. The object floated in space, like a broken bone, long, jagged, covered in cracks and silent scars. Whatever it had once been, it wasn't working anymore. Pieces of it were drifting away slowly, like snow falling sideways. Elise Hart leaned forward, her eyes wide. That's not a station, she whispered. Then what is it? Cole asked. A warning. The Arclight moved in slowly, its engines humming with care. It circled the strange object at a safe distance. Rivera launched a drone to get closer. The little craft zipped forward, sending back images. Sharp metal wings, twisting towers half melted. Symbols along the sides, Elise stared at the symbols and felt a chill. They were the same kind of patterns from the signal, but older, faded, worn by time. Same language, she said, confirming it aloud, but not the same message. The drone found a hatch. It was open. Nothing inside moved. Cole made the decision quickly. "We go in." He took a small Team Green, Elise, and Rivera. They wore pressure suits, armed with light rifles and scanners. The arc light held position just behind them as the shuttle floated through the hatch. Inside, the station was even darker. The lights from their helmets bounced off walls that had once been silver but were now scorched and pitted. There were no bodies, no power, no sound, but there were signs of panic. Scorch marks where weapons had fired, walls melted from heat, and claw marks. Green tapped the wall with her gloved fingers. "Something got in here, or something got out," Elise added softly. Rivera scanned a panel, then yanked a data core from a shattered console. He handed it to Elise. "Can you read it?" "I can try." They returned to the arc light in silence. Elise began to dig into the data. Hours passed. The symbols came slowly. It was a broken language, but there was structure. "Emotion, fear," one phrase repeated. It was meant for someone else. Elise froze when she found it. "This signal, it wasn't for us," she said to Cole. "Then who was it for? Another species. Not human." It was a call to allies, or maybe a warning to stay away. Cole nodded, slowly taking in the meaning. "We intercepted it by accident." "Yes," Elise said. "We were never supposed to hear it." Cole stared at the stars ahead. "Then the question is, did someone else hear it too?" The station had been dead for centuries, or so it seemed, but space doesn't forget. In the ship's war room, Green stood over a holographic layout of the alien structure. Her fingers moved across the controls, rotating the shape, zooming in on sections damaged in ways that didn't match standard weapon fire. "These scars don't make sense," she said, voice steady. "What do you mean?" Cole asked. "They're too clean, too focused, like something was searching, not attacking." Cole narrowed his eyes. Searching for what? The lights flickered. In engineering, Rivera froze as the floor vibrated under his boots. He tapped his control panel. "No engine trouble, no seismic activity, but something was drawing power, Commander." He said, "Overcomes, we just lost 2%. Core reserve. Bleed off is going somewhere. Find it fast," Cole replied, outside one of the recon drones, still attached to the alien station. Sparked and shook, the drone had scanned too deeply. Something woke up from within the broken halls of the station. Machines stirred. They weren't ships or drones in any human sense. They were sharp, crawling, twitching things made of black metal and long, smooth spines. They did not have engines. They did not have eyes, but they moved. Cole stared at the live feed. "Bring the drone back. It's not responding," Rivera said. Then, the first of the machines launched. It moved like a spear, silent, burning cold. Hurtling toward the arc light before anyone could speak, the ship rocked, shields holding. Green shouted, slamming her palm against the weapons console. "But they're testing us." Cole stood tall, eyes fixed on the screen. "No, they're learning." He gave the order to fire. The arc light lit up with blue flame. Plasma bolts struck the machines mid-flight. Some shattered, some simply reformed, crawling. Into new shapes. They didn't behave like drones. They behaved like cells. "We need to cut the signal link." "What link?" Green asked. "Whatever's waking them is still connected." In the science lab, Elise stared at her screen, heart racing. "It's not a system," she whispered. "It's not automation." Cole turned to her, voice low, firm. "Then what is it?" "It's a hive." She pointed to a repeating glyph on the data core, a pattern that pulsed in time with the machines. "It's alive. It sleeps until touched. And we just kicked the nest." "Can you shut it off?" Cole asked. "I can try to confuse it." She uploaded a distortion signal through the drone network, static laced with false commands, old Earth protocols, and random musical tones. The machines stopped for 3 full seconds, then they changed direction. "Not toward the arc light, but away. They're transmitting," Green said. "To who?" Cole asked. Elise didn't look up from her screen. Not who, where, and the alien station glowed softly. A pulse, a message. Far across the void, something had heard them, and now it was answering. In a secure chamber beneath Terran Defense Command, the signal replayed again. It was clearer now, sharp tones rising in steady intervals, like a digital heartbeat. Then came the message, stitched together by Elise's decoding and Earth's best. AI, motion observed, defensive layer breached, send strength. General Monroe stood with his arms crossed as the transmission ended. Around him, the room was full of officers, scientists, and silent advisors who never gave their names. That wasn't a call for help, Monroe said. That was a military ping. Earth had been seen and tagged back in orbit. The arc light powered down, its main drive hiding in the magnetic wake of a nearby asteroid. The alien station, now quiet, floated like a grave marker. Commander Cole paced the bridge slowly. Status: no more activity from the station, Tara Green replied, watching the tactical display. But long-range scanners show something new. She tapped the screen. 3 dots, faint but moving fast. Not rocks. Not known ships. Incoming, she said. Mason Rivera turned in his seat, eyes wide. They're not using standard propulsion. I can't even get a heat trace. Elise sat frozen. Her hands gripped the console. They answered the message. Then we need to know who they are, Cole said. The data core retrieved from the station still sat in the science bay. Elise connected deeper, running simulations through the recovered architecture. She found hidden layers, behind firewalls shaped like language, and there it was. A species name written in jagged symbols. YRR, she whispered. Files loaded. Visuals. Log entries. Fragmented video. Twisting black ships. Descending on alien cities. Screams. Without sound, control panels flickering as minds fell apart. The ear did not conquer with weapons alone. They attacked thought, language, memory. They spread confusion and fear like a virus. Cole looked at the projection, silent. They erase identity first, Elise said. Then everything else. Green stared at the incoming ships. And now they know. We exist on Earth. Monroe ordered the activation of the Terran Fleet Reserve. 10 ships previously in dock began warm-up protocols. New defenses powered up over orbital rings. A satellite net expanded around the planet like a shell. The public still didn't know. The news spoke only of system upgrades and satellite realignments. But across every government and military channel, a single word repeated: retaliation on the arc light. Cole turned to his crew. We can't outrun them. Then what? Mason asked. We learn faster. They activated every sensor, every probe, every scrap of data scavenged from the station. Elise started building a model of ear behavior. Green plotted potential firing patterns. Mason modified shield parameters to absorb non-thermal distortions. Earth was preparing to fight, but Cole knew this was more than battle. It was the beginning of something bigger, something ancient, and it had just noticed humanity. They didn't. Come like an army, they came like a whisper. The ear weren't like anything Earth had known. They didn't march. They didn't fire missiles. They didn't speak threats into the void. They slipped into systems unnoticed, folded inside patterns, words, images. And when they arrived, people changed in the ArcLight's science bay. Elise Hart watched one of the recovered glyphs from the alien station rotate on her screen. At first glance, it looked like art-curved lines, broken circles, soft color pulses. Then the headache began. She blinked hard and turned it off. They weaponize information. She said quietly. Cole stood behind her. He had seen war, ground battles, orbital strikes, even silent fleet duels over ice worlds. But this felt different. How do we fight that? Not with guns, Elise replied. With silence, she pulled up the ear archive again, shielding her eyes from one section that flickered wrong. The alien data from the station held records of other species, those who had received the ear signal and didn't survive. There were patterns. It started with a signal, then came dreams, then confusion, then collapse. They infect languages, Elise said. They corrupt meaning. They make people forget who they are. Mason Rivera had been listening nearby. What about ships, defenses? They dismantle societies before the missiles even launch, she answered. Green scrolled through the station's final logs. So that station? Out there, that was the warning. Elise nodded. It wasn't a cry for help. It was a firebreak. They were trying to contain the spread, and we walked right into it, Mason said, back on Earth. To run defense launched new protocols. Communications to the ArcLight were rerouted through analog systems. Screens were filtered. Linguistic A's were locked down. Human-only translators were brought in. They feared the ear could ride inside a word. Cole ordered the crew to switch to visual signals for internal alerts. Elise created a code system with shapes and lights primitive, but safe. No one would speak without thought. No one would read without scanning first. The ship moved deeper into the system, toward where the 3 approaching signals had last been seen, but there was nothing there, just cold space. Until Rivera picked up the static, "We're being scanned," he said. Green brought up the field map, but not with light or heat. "They're probing us with questions." "Questions?" Cole asked. "Encrypted queries? Semantic traps? Trying to trigger thought loops?" Elise paled. "They want to infect our patterns," Cole spoke firmly. "Shut everything down, every feed, every visual line." The arc light went dark. For hours, they floated. In silence, no signals, no light, no sound. And in that silence, they were safe. For now. No one spoke for a long time. The bridge of the arc light was bathed in red emergency light. All systems remained offline except for life support and core shielding. They floated, a ghost in the dark. Commander Cole sat still in his chair, hands folded, eyes on nothing. He had led men into war, faced ambushes, and cold silence. But this was different. This enemy didn't charge at you. It didn't bleed. It waited for you to invite it in, down in the research bay. Elise Hart lit a small lantern and sketched symbols on a plastic sheet, new glyphs of her own, disconnected from any known language. Safe, clean, pure. She used them to map out what she had learned. "The ear follow curiosity," she said to Cole when he entered quietly. "They look for noise, for questions. Every reaction we give is like turning on a light in a dark forest." Cole looked down at her sketches. "So what do we do? Hide forever?" "No," Elise said. "We leave something for them." She explained her plan. A quantum ghost signal, a fake message, a bright, loud, beautiful lie, something the ear would chase. Mason Rivera helped build it. He stripped pieces from the damaged recon drone and rewired a pulse core. Green programmed the bait signal using fragments of Earth languages stitched together to mean nothing but sound dangerous. They attached it to a signal buoy and launched it into deep space, pointed away from Earth when it reached a safe distance. It ignited like a flare, a beautiful song of confusion. "They'll follow it," Elise said. "It's designed to loop into their own Calandra response structure." "Like a reflection," Cole nodded. "And if they come back, then they'll find us ready." For the first time in days, the arc light powered up. Lights flickered on. Engines hummed. No. New pings. No whispers. Just space. They turned the ship toward the long way home. No direct signals. No open channels. Just a silent drift back to familiar stars. Green sat in the gunnery chair, arms folded behind her head. "So we tricked an alien hive that weaponizes language using a fake signal made of nonsense." "That's one way to put it," Mason said. "You know what I call that?" she said with a grin. "Human." Cole smiled, not because they had one, but because they had chosen to fight on their own terms. The arc light faded into the dark, and behind it the ghost signal danced. A trap made of sound, a song meant for monsters. Earth didn't sleep anymore, not after the arc light returned. No public broadcast was made. No global headline ran the truth. But behind every quiet command room, every closed-door meeting, humanity shifted. It woke up. Commander Cole stood in the debriefing chamber, deep under lunar command. The walls were bare, the lights dim. Before him sat 20 world leaders, their expressions heavy and silent. He said only one thing. "We weren't supposed to hear the signal." Then Elise stood beside him and added, "But now they know we exist." That was enough. In the months that followed, Earth changed faster than it had in a century. Nations shared secrets. Orbital shipyards doubled production. Entire universities were converted into encryption research centers. Satellites were reprogrammed. Signal filters installed. Old military projects reopened. The arc light was stripped down, rebuilt, reinforced. It returned to space with a new name burned into its side. Resolute Dawn. The crew was promoted, but they chose to stay together. They had seen something no one else had, and though Earth now bristled with new weapons, it was knowledge that made them dangerous. Green trained new gunners in silent fire drills. Mason designed shielding that didn't rely on patterns the ear could read. Elise rewrote half the defense protocols in non-linguistic code. And Cole, he simply waited. From space, Earth looked the same. Blue, bright, alive. But beneath that beauty, the planet had teeth now. It had claws and a voice it wouldn't give away. Lightly, no more waiting, no more silence. If the stars wanted a war, humanity was ready to answer.